So welcome to another Cool Science is Cool event. And today we are going to have the Amoeba Sisters on. And I want to just do a couple introductions and pre-show stuff for you. The sponsor of these events is, of course, Pocket Lab. So, please check out Pocket Lab. Uh, cool sensors, amazing software, tons of free content that you can use, premium content, which we're going to talk about the Amoeba Sisters, and great events, of course. We have some cool things coming up. And what we do is we have this information for you on a landing page. And Scott has put the link there for us in the background, but I will show it just in case you don't see it. So go to this page. Everything from the webinar is on here. This has the agenda, has all the links that you'll see today are in here, has resources. So you can use this as your show guide, let's call it, and keep track of everything going on. So that's there for you. Let's start bringing on. I want to first announce Robin. So Robin Gant is a special guest. She's a teacher. So Robin, let's get you on. She is a teacher who has become an expert user on the Amoeba Sisters content. So she's going to show you how to use it from a teacher's perspective. And of course, let's bring on Serena and Brianna, the Amoeba Sisters.
Hello.
Serena. Hey, Serena. Hey, or Petunia. I'll call you Petunia.
Yeah. Nobody knows who Serena is.
And Pinky.
We like it that way, though.
There you go. So you guys are going to go through a lot of really interesting stuff, and you're going to bring Robin back on, and I will come back at the end. So for everybody, put your questions in the chat. We can answer some as we go along, but we'll do a full Q&A session towards the end. We'll get everybody's questions. When you put a question, tell us where you're from. I love to know where you're from. And, Brianna and Serena, I'm going to hand it off to you, and I'll be watching, and I'll come back at the Q&A.
Sounds
Awesome.
great.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Thanks so much. And y'all, we're so happy to be here. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We're excited to talk about some of our content and some of the resources we have for review. So just kind of an introduction. My name is Brianna Rapini. And before Amoeba Sisters, I've actually been in public school education for 12 years. And most of those years as a classroom teacher, biology and AP biology were the subjects that I taught. And then some other roles too. I was a science specialist for a little bit and an instructional technology specialist. But teaching, I absolutely loved it. We started this hobby, Amoeba Sisters, while I was teaching, and my sister and I, we were working on it, and it kind of grew unexpectedly, and now we do this full time as of 2017. And I do the script, I do the audio, most of the voice, and I also make the resources that go with our videos. And so that's kind of my role with our channel.
And I'm Serena Peterson. I did not teach, but I did work at Dallas ISD doing different program evaluation and all their statistics work and stuff. So I've done a complete 180 in our career because I do all the art for our channel. So I'm the cartoonist that draws all the stuff you see on the videos. And then I sync it up with Bree's audio, and we edit, and then we put out our videos. So you can kind of tell that I did not know how to draw in the beginning. I was using MS Paint. I was using a mouse, and it shows. But I taught myself how to draw so that we could keep making videos because we were having so much fun with it. We never really meant for this to be a job, but we're really grateful that teachers like you are using our videos so that we can. And so we have gradually increased, and we have been very slow growth YouTubers, but we've been doing this for about 12 years now. And we have reached over 2 million subscribers, which is amazing. And so we've created a lot of other stuff. You'll see a link on there for our link tree, and that will have everything that we're going to be mentioning today. I'm actually going to go ahead and mute myself now, and I'm going to talk to you guys in the comments if you have any questions, and let Bree take over because she's going to be doing telling you most about the resources we have and all the great free stuff and a little bit more about Pocket Lab.
So some of the free resources we have, many of you might know, if you've ever seen any of our videos, that we have this playlist, and it's our biology playlist, and it arranges all of our videos that we have in a sequence that is suggested if you're a new teacher. But there's a lot of different sequences that you can use. It's just one suggested sequence. And whenever we make a new video, we put it in that playlist. If we're updating, we take out the old one. And so we kind of replace it there. And those videos are meant to be, they're short. Most of them are under 10 minutes, although we're getting a little longer lately with some of the more advanced topics, but they tend to be under 10 minutes, and they're meant to introduce the concept. And they're supposed to be a foundational piece so that you have more time for labs and discussions and all the other things that you're doing that are in the classroom that are awesome for engaging with students. And so it's more of a foundation piece so you can dive deeper with your content. We also have a Before the Bell biology series. I'm really excited about it. It has right now 15 videos. We're looking to make some more topics for it. So if you ever think of some topics you wish we had, please let us know in the comments. But these types of videos are meant to be something that are played before class starts, so before the bell, and they have usually 7 to 10 questions. What's unique about them is they show the question, and it has like a little timer. And when the timer runs out, it then shows the answer, and it usually has some illustrations to help kind of bring it to life, make it memorable. And we cover topics that I find in biology are kind of challenging for students in the Before the Bell series. So for example, cell transport, mitosis, meiosis, DNA replication, or how to solve these different types of Punnett square questions. And when you go to the playlist, which again, those resources are all in our link tree, one of the first videos in there has our free handout that goes with all of the Before the Bell biology series. So that's a resource that you can use that's free. Another thing that we have, I know it's getting close to review season, and reviewing is tough because you have still new content you're trying to cover, but then you're also trying to review things for your EOCs or your finals, and you're trying to do that at the same time, which is challenging. We have a review playlist, and it has 4 videos in it, and they have our review videos. And what makes these review videos unique is that not only do they tend to be longer, but they have areas in the video that pause and ask students a question, and then it allows a student to answer it before the question is actually addressed in the video itself. So it has kind of these natural pause breaks, and that's kind of why we consider it review videos. We have our Stroll Through the Playlist, which is through our entire playlist. It covers some of the major concepts, and then it has a few others, like we have our review ecology video, we have our review cell structure video, and some others. And also on that link tree, we have some tips for when you're using our videos, how to work with finding captions or transcripts, because we offer that for all of our videos, or how to pick a different language, because we're starting to offer more languages, and that's exciting, and some other features on there. So if you're ever in our link tree, we have our 10 tips, and it talks about using those particular videos. Another great resource we think for reviewing is our GIF review, or GIF review if you prefer that pronunciation, but that basically is meant where we have this type of animation, and on this animation, students are to use a vocabulary box to describe the GIF. And we think it's really helpful because in biology, when you're reviewing, there's so much vocabulary to cover. So these slides are meant where the student has to use the vocab to describe the GIF. And one little thing to add about that, we think it's very helpful to ask students, how could you improve this GIF? Because when you're reviewing, if they can think of ways to improve it, that really shows their deep understanding of it. So for example, that cell transport, when you're looking at, for example, my active transport thing at the top, the GIF shows that the molecules are moving one way. It's showing net movement, but it has a weakness in that it's not showing that technically they're all moving. It's just showing the net movement. And so something like that students could point out, that would show a deep understanding. So we think it's a great resource. It's also in our link tree, helpful for review. But what I want to talk to you about are our Pocket Lab virtual checks for using for review, and why we think these are useful. So we were looking to make a resource that was a little bit beyond some of our free handouts, because our free handouts have some weaknesses in that, first of all, they don't have any interactivity. and they can't self-grade. They have separate answer keys that we usually offer as a separate thing that is purchased. And those kind of things, we were looking for something that had that interactivity that would cover our video topics and that could be customized and differentiated to different students, and something that would be useful in the classroom because it would provide that feedback to teachers so that teachers would know, okay, this is what my students need to learn. And it's helpful for reviewing specifically because each of them covers one video concept. So our virtual checks, we now have 48 of them, and they cover a different concept that matches with a video in our playlist. I tried to cover the ones that I know are some of the more challenging topics first. That was kind of my priority, and some of the real popular topics that I know are going to show up is something that are going to need to be reviewed. But we also like to prioritize new releases. So for example, when we had the ecology review video, we made a virtual check to go with that because that was a new release and we wanted to have that in there. We also are trying to prioritize some of the review videos. For example, our cell structure review has a virtual check, and our mega genetics review has a virtual check. And so those can be helpful for those particular review content videos. Also, there's a built-in answer key for any of the free response. It has a little teacher notes section and a little button that they put that you can push and you can see that. But if it's a question that's more so this is actually an example of that. There's a little teacher notes and has our answer in there built in for the teacher. But if it's something that's more interactive, like a multiple choice, a drag and drop, so multiple choice, drag and drop, line matching, those kind of questions are actually, we already code the answer in there. So for example, if you look at the drag and drop there, it will give students feedback whether they dragged the actual correct items in there correctly or not, or it'll tell them to try again. Same with the multiple choice or multiple select, it will give them that feedback whether they have that correct or whether they don't. And so that's helpful not only for the teacher side, being able to see that graded, but also to be able to, for the students, so that they can kind of correct themselves and they can use that as a tool. Some other things to mention about that. So we've got the student feedback, and I think on the next slide there, we have a demo. In this particular demo, at the link in Serena, if you're able, oh, thanks, you're awesome, got that in there. She's super fast. The link has a demo that you can go look at. This demo, I like biomolecules because this is a topic that I think is one that really, it's a challenging topic. It's one that I think students have sometimes a tricky time being able to remember these different biomolecules and how they're useful in cells. Because I think sometimes the focus, we sometimes get stuck on how they might be used in the human body, which is important, but also the cell use is so important. So on this particular demo, if you look through it, it has the different categories. You can kind of see how that works, but also you have the ability to edit it. And that is really helpful when you're doing review, because you might want to have some boxes that you're going to remove and take out. There might be some that you want to customize and add in different features. And there might be some that you want to differentiate to different students, because when you assign these particular Pocket Labs, you can assign it to your whole class, but you can also assign it individually to students, which works well for differentiation. So what I want it to do is I want it to go ahead. Oh, is there like a GIF thing on there? I love it. Okay. And I just have to tell you a quick fact about the GIF thing. I know I say GIF a lot. Serena's laughing because I do this a lot. But anyway, the GIF was invented in the 80s. And the person that invented the GIF was very particular that they wanted it pronounced GIF. So I got that in my head. And so I've never been able to change it. But GIF kind of, makes a lot of sense. So yes,
I agree with Rebecca. G is for graphic. Yeah,
my sister and I are divided on that.
But divided.
It is a great rabbit hole to go look at if you're ever wanting to look at how did that happen? Anyway, but I wanted to go ahead and bring out Robin. Robin is a teacher that has been teaching for 35 years. Which is awesome. And it has been awesome to get to meet her. She's had the virtual checks since last summer. And so it's really nice to be able to hear teacher feedback on these, because we love to hear about what works well and also how we can continue to improve them, because we really believe in these resources. We think they're helpful, and we want to keep building it to be as good as it can be. So, Robin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. And I too am a little starstruck. I like one of the comments said that it was like seeing biology royalty to
Oh,
to interact with Pinky and Petunia.
oh,
But
sweet.
one of the things I love about this is I don't have to go to the copy machine and make lots of copies. You know, that's one of the things that I love. It's very intuitive, very easy to set up. Once you set everything up, you'll get a dashboard with all the videos that are available, and that's what I'm showing on the screen right now. It can track the student progress. You can integrate it seamlessly if you're having to teach, doing any distance learning, or if you have a digital day, is what we call them down here in Georgia. You can the assessments. There's so many types of assessment. There's drag and drop, true and false, and the students get immediate feedback. So when they go into the lesson, they see the video and they watch the full video, and then they start responding to the video. So this is similar to what your students would see. Again, it's good for substitute days, because it's very easy to see everything that is happening. It's also good, for even just in-person days. Let me go ahead and go to the next one. The biggest thing I love about this platform is I can see the actual responses. So here is a copy of one of my small sections, and you can see that Hannah has like a little orange box next to her. And so when we click on it, we can see that when she first answered about the proteins that matched with this part of DNA, she answered it as an RNA sequence instead of a DNA sequence. So I was able to coach her before the test and just remind her, okay, you remember, we're not going to see the T in the RNA. So that was something that was very, very helpful to her. I can walk around the room if they, because they're working on their screens. And if somebody's getting stuck on something, then I can talk them through it and help them through whatever the concept is. If they're getting something wrong, they can go back and watch the video if they want. It's immediate feedback. I think the next slide I have up, and this was one of my international students from Thailand, and sometimes his English sentences aren't perfect, and with some AI grading, if you don't get everything just right, it doesn't like the answer. But here I can go in and see exactly what he wrote. And he has the concept, even if, the sentence isn't perfect, he's got the concept that everybody's Gus now. So that's a lot of fun. That's one of the things that I like about it. Also, you can kind of tell I have middle school students as well as high school students. And sometimes the middle school students like the easiest route to the grade. So I could see if they're just phoning in their answers and not really paying attention because of what's going on in the dashboard, or just as I'm walking around, we can talk about those things. And there's so many different types of questions. There's true, false, there's multiple choice. And I think on the next slide, you can even have they can draw to respond. Isn't that amazing? And you can see exactly what they have drawn. So those are some of the things I love about these virtual checks that the Amoeba Sisters have. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you. And that is just that picture. I'm just amazed by that because
Yeah,
I was
that's an actual, yes.
I cannot. Yes, my sister does the drawings, and I always admire. Drawing is just something that's Mine's not going to look like that. So one question I did have for you, with editing the virtual check, do you ever find that it is helpful to edit them or make any changes, or do you not normally need to do any changes? Or how about?
I haven't done a lot of that, but I can see, for example, if I wanted to make a quick exit ticket, they could go on, I can remove, you can very easily remove, you know, if you wanted to remove 2/3 of the questions and just focus on the skills that they are struggling with and put that in an exit ticket, that is so easy to do. This is also you can even take, several of the questions and put them in the review. I can't wait to see the review that you have for my biology students. They're going to love that.
Oh,
And I missed an opportunity. As much as I've been playing around with Pocket Lab, I missed an opportunity because FET is now on there. And I actually did their natural selection virtual lab with the bunnies. I don't know if anybody's done the one with the bunnies. And I could have put some of the questions, they have teachers contributing questions. And I could have put some of those questions on there. It was a missed opportunity, but it's pretty easy to edit. It's very similar to Google Slides and Google Forms kind of put together. And the kids love it. There's drag and drop. There's all sorts of options for putting your own questions in.
awesome. Thank you so much, Robin. That was really
Sure.
helpful to get that feedback. We would love to open it up from questions for y'all, whether they be questions about content or questions for Robin regarding the teacher side. We'd love to hear what kind of questions we can answer.
I saw two. I don't know if Dave's gonna
I am. I'm
run
on
this
it.
rodeo though. We're in Texas, so it's a rodeo.
I'm working on it here. Well,
Sure.
my first question, is it gamete or gamete? Sorry.
Ah,
I say gamete.
I've never
but
heard.
you know
Me
what though?
neither.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have learned though that in biology, especially when creating these, like there are so many different pronunciations, and there will be more than one that are correct. For example, trophic. The trophic level
Yes, the
is very
trophic
common to hear trophic. In fact, I think trophic might be more common, but I cannot I learned trophic level, and I had to go research to make sure that is that an acceptable one, because all of our videos say trophic level. So yeah,
I was
there's a
only
lot.
I know it's gamete, but I just
You never know.
I saw
Yeah.
the giraffe. Somebody put giraffe. I thought that was pretty funny. There's a ton of questions here, so I'm gonna start going through them. I saw Shannon Rashby, from
Yes.
California. Great, is asking, any plans to branch into other sciences? I bet you get that question all the time.
Yes, we've thought about chemistry. I definitely know that Serena and I would need to find a chemistry teacher, because there's some, with teaching. Yes, and Robin, we may be contacting you. With the thing with teaching, and I know y'all all know this, you see the content and you get to present it and you master it in a way that is just beyond anything else, right? And you see what your students get confused with. And I remember finding like there would be things they'd be confused with that I hadn't even thought about. And then I was like, oh my goodness, that's like a great point. Like that's something I didn't even think of. And I would get confused with that if I had thought that too. So I need basically, long story short, I would need to have someone that was a chemistry expert. We'd need to partner with that. I am certified in chemistry, but I probably should not teach it alone.
Ooh, that was better than a no. I kind of like it. It's sounding like
it's something we do consider. Chemistry though is really hard, because in the sense that when you're doing these illustrations, I worry that we might have, it might be harder to make them. So for example, like the water molecules in the background of my image on there, you know, they're cute water molecules and they're meant to show water, but the thing is the bond angles are not correct. And in chemistry, that really is important. And so we've had chemistry professors let us know that, you know, we need to alter certain drawings and stuff. And they've got good points. I think we'd have a lot of that. So
Okay. Hey, there's a question here from Maggie Wilt. Maggie, where are you from? And I guess I have to handle this. Is there a way to sync these to Canvas? So that's that is what the Pocket Lab platform does, and that's the only easy way to do it. So if you have questions on how that works, just shoot us an email and we could set you up. But if you log in, that's where all the content is. And you know, Robin, I didn't ask you if you use LMS and if you do any integration with it.
We do not have the Canvas or Google Classroom, but I was aware that the platform was able to do that. I just you can export the scores into a spreadsheet and just note them, you know, in your grade book. For me, that's working fine.
Yeah, we have a lot of for Pocket Lab Notebook has a lot of other content in. We support all the LMSs. There's a lot of Google Classroom, Canvas, you know, there's Schoology, ClassLink, there's everything there. So, but yeah, you can sync in the platform. So that's helpful. I had this question from, and Michelle Fields. I don't know where you're from, Michelle, but thanks for the question. Are Pocket Labs used in Google or can they be put into our LMS system like Canvas? So it's basically the same thing. When you Notebook can be integrated to your LMS and it handles that. Okay, let's get on to some other questions. I see a question from Shannon Campo. I hope I'm saying that right. Shannon, where are you from? I'd love to see where you're from. I've been watching Amoeba Sisters for years and using the handouts. I'm confused with all the other resources. Where do I start? I'm not new to Amoeba Sisters, but I'm brand new to all the resources. That is such a great question, Brianna and Serena, if you want to answer that. Shannon's from New Jersey.
great question, Shannon. And I know that we have a lot of stuff and it's been a little while getting it organized because there's a ton. What I would highly suggest on our link tree, we have a Amoeba Sisters resources by video, and it's a Google sheet. And when you get on the sheet in the beginning, it's like a welcome sheet, but then there's actually the resources side by side with each video. And we have the free resources and we have paid resources. And that is nice because it's by each video and it's in the same order as our playlist. And we keep that very updated. We've had a lot of people ask us if they can edit that Google Sheet. And unfortunately, the only reason why we don't want the Google Sheet edited is because we are changing it so much. We also have the standards on there. And so every time we have a virtual check, if it goes with a video there, you'll also see that in one of the columns, it'll have virtual check. And I think that's a great place to start. If you're new to our content, the nice thing is it's already in sequence and it already has each video linked and it already has all the resources with each video. And I think that's the way to do it. So far, that's been, I think, the best process we've put into place for us so far.
And you should mention that the content that you guys put together on Notebook is new. It's all new. You went through it, put a lot of work and effort into it, and it's pretty cool.
Yes, and you know, the virtual checks, what I like about them right now is that they're all in the sequence that we would suggest. They match the playlist. And whenever we make a new one, we put it in the sequence of where we think it would best fit. Although, of course, you don't have to use that same sequence if you want to use a different one. I did notice a question in there about homeschool. And so for any parents in here that might be homeschool parents, I do think they are very useful for students in that format too. It would just be
I
that
would
you would,
agree.
oh, awesome. Yeah, it would just be a one person, you know, maybe you just have one homeschool student, but you still would have that teacher view and they would still have the student view. And, you know, those answers would already be put in there for you so you can check on the teacher notes to make sure that if they do a free response that they're correct or they're multiple choice or the drag and drop. So I do still think it would be very useful for homeschool.
Great, great. Yeah, actually, we have a lot of homeschoolers who just reach out. And I think it is great content for that. It's fantastic. Joanne Wasserman is asking a similar question. Joanne, where are you from, Joanne? Are these resources all digital? Are we able to print out questions for students to write answers and take notes? So can you print some of the stuff out?
You can, yes. At the very top, there is an option when you're saving that you can print. It actually has a pretty nice format when you're printing it. Um, I have, Robin, have you ever used the print feature or not so much of that?
I haven't. The virtual nature of the virtual checks is just so convenient. I am at a school where everybody has their own device, and so that makes it very easy for me to say, okay, go into Pocket Lab. I've given you an assignment, and they can just log in and, you know, watch the video and respond. So I've found it very easy. I haven't found the need to print. If I do anything that is printed, it's usually because you don't have a virtual check yet for that particular thing. And so we can print that out at that
Awesome.
point. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
and
will, I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
one last thing though, I will say when you do the print feature, so you know how the benefit of the virtual checks is that interactivity that Robin's mentioning. When you do the print, if you have something like a drag and drop, it's going to have like the boxes and the words at the top. They technically could draw a line to the word, to the actual box, but you do lose that interactivity. So um, that's great. And Robin's point just made me think of this too. If any of you have a virtual check that you wish we had, because we're still in that creating mode, we have a form on our site, and I'm trying to prioritize. I've had I think 6 different requests throughout this school year, and I've done all but one of them. And actually, for if you're the one that asked for the carbon and nitrogen cycle, that one is coming up. Although that one is also in ecology review, so you'll actually find that in there too. So but the other ones that were requested should all be in there now. And please feel free to let us know because we're trying to get the ones that are the most in high demand.
Is that on our
Yeah.
Pocket Lab site, Bree, that they can
That
fill
is
out that
on,
form?
yes,
Okay, I
that
was just
there's a
gonna share
form.
that.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, Joanne was from Wisconsin. This is a great question. Yeah, we'll if you email us at Pocket Lab, we talk to the Amoeba Sisters all the time. We're on the same Slack channel, so we'll pass that information around. Don't worry, it'll get to them. So yeah, definitely if you have ideas, anything, just reach out. We love that.
And I
Um,
wanted to add too real quick for Pocket Lab. Pocket Lab has all those sensors so that the students, when they're doing these experiments, the sensors are recording the data for them so they don't have to stop a trial in the middle of the trial, record their data, go back to their trial. And this is a great way to just get familiar with Pocket Lab are these virtual checks before you start adding all the sensors in and things like that. So I'm very impressed with the Pocket Lab site.
Thanks, Robin. This is a great question from Courtney Weeks. Courtney, where are you from? Asking for Mrs. Grant. How many hours did you need to confidently associate yourself with these and teach and differentiate lessons? That's a great question.
Good question.
Um, I honestly did not have to do very much at all. It's very well laid out. The only differentiation I would say would be occasionally I have middle school life science, and so sometimes I can take some of the more intense topics out because right now they're kind of just getting an intro. For example, we were watching the lungs one and just recently, and there were some things that were going, you know, away from our focus for that day. And if I wanted to, I could just take those slides out to differentiate. But the platform, um, I don't want to say it differentiates, but it does um, help the teacher lean in that direction. Does that make sense? You can easily edit things. You can change the questions. You can walk around and help them and okay, what did they say? PMAT. Do you remember PMAT? What did they say in the video? And help them to do these reviews. They're not meant to be quizzes or anything like that. They're just meant to be an interaction to help reinforce those concepts. And it's excellent for that.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning that. All the content is editable and remixable and shareable within your school or others who have the subscription. So yeah, you take advantage of that. You can add another video in if you want, or take stuff away. So that's great. Thanks for mentioning that. That's a great question from Alicia Gross. Oh, and Courtney was from Oklahoma. Yeah, I think I got that right. Alicia Gross. Alicia, where are you from? How do we get this? I have Kessler Science that uses Pocket Lab. Is this a subscription? So I can just take that for you, Alicia. So it's, if you have Kessler, you know, it goes on the sidebar of your Pocket Lab notebook. This will be, if you subscribe, it'll be right below there, and you'll be able to access both. And by the way, you'll be able to remix them together. You'll be able to pull one content into the other, and then you can share that to other teachers, which is pretty cool. Okay, Addie Dor is asking, and Addie, where are you from? This is a great question. We see this all the time. It's a little frustrating too. What is the most important resource to use when preparing for exams?
So, so as far as like resources that we have for exams, you know, I think a lot of it's going to depend on kind of on your students, in my opinion, the data that you're getting, whether it's from assessments or what you're teaching and seeing what students need to focus on. That might tell you, like, do I need to show a huge review video that I break up throughout a few days, or do I need to give a certain activity that's a virtual check? So that really can vary. I think kind of mixing it up and seeing what works best for your students, whether, you know, it's virtual checks on specific topics or whether you need to have more of an extensive review where they're doing a large review video. Two of our virtual checks do go with the long review videos, the ecology one and the mega genetics review. So those can be helpful with those long review videos.
Great. Addie from North Carolina, thanks. Veronica Preto is asking, and Veronica, where are you from? I love to know where people are from. That's really cool. Do you plan on making videos about some standard biology labs like DNA extraction or the Benedict's test?
Oh, you know, we haven't gotten asked about that very much, about like lab videos. We did find we got some comments that the gel electrophoresis one was helpful for when students were going to do gel electrophoresis, especially like in AP Bio. Um, so that is definitely something we're open to. We have not gotten many topic requests for that, but always feel free to send us some, because we're always interested in trying some new things like that, especially if there's not very much out there that exists yet, because that would tell us that there might be a need for it, and that would be something exciting to try.
You got a second on the Benedict's. So, and I don't even
Oh,
know what that is, but apparently it's important.
nice.
So great. Yeah. So by the way, send comments. We love your comments. You can send it. There's to Pocket Lab email. You can send it to the Amoeba Sisters. Well, you know, this is how we prioritize stuff, is listening to you guys. So, you know, don't feel like you're bothering us with thoughts. There's a great question here from Heather Lucas. So Heather, where are you from? Do y'all's platform allow for copying into our district platforms like Schoology or Google Classroom? Oh, and Heather's from Round Rock. Great. I know where Round Rock is. Yeah, so you can, it connects with the LMS, and especially if you're using Google Classroom, it's really easy to share this data. I would say, you know, at a high level, yes, you can do that. I think we would be happy to hop on and show you technically how it works so you don't get stuck. But you can certainly, the whole idea is that you can use this with other teachers, other classrooms, and with your LMS system. So I would say reach out. We can give you a technical demo on how that all works. So thanks for that question, Heather. And next one, by the way, there's a ton of questions. We're going to keep going. You guys can ask questions all night. We're excited. So we'll go as long as you want to stay on and ask us questions. So Deanne Barkus is asking, any idea how this resource would work within the NGS or OpenSciEd? That's a really good question. Deanne, where are you from, Deanne? Who wants to take that? Do you guys want to take that?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking about where she's from.
Oh,
So,
and where she's from.
Wait, we're all waiting
Wisconsin,
for me.
another Wisconsin.
yeah, I was like, where is? Okay. But we do have some NGSS standards on our spreadsheet that go with the videos that we think they can help support. We're always hesitant to say that they completely cover the standard because the standard, so many of those standards, you're going to have a lab component along with it. So we do consider ourselves supplemental, but we do think that yes, there are quite a few NGSS standards that go with many of our virtual checks. If you want to take a look on our spreadsheet, you can see those listed, as well as we have NGSS listed, and we also have TEKS for those of you that might be in Texas.
And I'm not familiar with the Open Science, but LibreText and OpenStax. There are some references and links in their videos that you can, go and see how they link to that.
So
That's
yeah,
such a great point. With OpenStax, we love OpenStax too. That is, how do you like that resource as well, Robin? OpenStax?
I do. I find it's very well organized, and it will go into detail without taxing the high school brain too very
Yes.
much. But at the same time, there are some background pieces of information that the students need to understand the full concept. And so I can supplement, our textbook that we have in the classroom with some articles from OpenStax sometimes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that resource.
Yeah, and Deanne, we have Open Syed on. Open Syed is an OER, a middle school. They now have a high school and other grades. It's middle school, a very well-reviewed science platform. We actually have that as a subscription on Pocket Lab Notebook. And once they're together, it's like the Kessler Science. You could intermingle them. How you would do that, I don't know. I think that's a great question for somebody in a classroom trying to apply this. So that's definitely out there. And another, just a quick thing before the questions, like if y'all haven't used chatbots to align to standards, you're missing something, as they're really good at that, by the way. So just a little tip, and I would love to talk about that more eventually. We do a lot of stuff on AI, but I don't know if do you use that AI for that kind of application, Robin?
I do. I have used that, and it's wonderful. It makes, plugging in the little, lesson plans. We have a different learning management system called Sycamore. And so we have to put our lesson plans in every week, and it's just wonderful to be able to drag, copy paste, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we're doing a lot of stuff in AI, and I see Lauren's suggesting maybe we do an AI standards webinar. I would love to do that, by the way. It's a hot topic and it's pretty powerful.
I was
So,
gonna,
okay. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say one more thing. So when you were talking about, and Scott, I don't know if you can I had some slides there to show that there were other things that I can see, even though my subscription is technically with the Amoeba Sisters. There are other resources and other platforms that I can go out there and use as well. And I hope this is not misspeaking, but the subscription price is amazingly cheap. Um, I think the price point is one of my top 5 favorite things about this platform.
Hmm.
And it just simplifies my life so much. And so again, I can go in and see things from Kessler Science. Now, I can't get to all of the Kessler Science unless I subscribe to that particular um, thread, but there are plenty of things from LibreText and some other open things that are there.
Robin, thanks for that. Boy, a ton of questions. We're going to keep doing your questions, so stay tuned. Marcy Russell is asking a great question. Marcy, where are you from? Will you be making videos geared more for middle school? I just wanted to add a quick thing onto that for Brianna and Serena. We have actually quite a few middle school teachers who are using this content. So they have found a way to scale it down. So do you guys, have you thought of doing more work to scale this down, or more middle school geared videos?
Well, at this time, we're actually we're trying to do some more AP Bio. So we do have right now, that's kind of our priority at this moment, but that doesn't mean that we might not change in the future. And I know that right now Pocket Lab has some amazing middle school resources and elementary resources in addition to some of the resources that we have. I think a lot of our resources, one thing that's interesting that we get in the comments, and I don't know if many of y'all experiences as well. I think our content is so applicable to a lot of different areas. I get feedback from professors that are using it. I even have had graduate school where they're relearning like DNA replication, and they want to kind of just go through it again. And so they're still looking back at it. And then I've gotten emails. We have a book as well, and our book is really it's meant for high school bio, but we have had so many people tell us that they've used it with much younger students that are enjoying it. So I just love it. Biology could be for anyone. And I really like that. So I think it can be applicable to middle school. But right now, a lot of our videos that we're creating this year tend to be more AP bio or more advanced bio focused at this moment.
Yeah. Got it. Angie Kellum is asking a great question. Angie, where are you from? If you subscribe to the virtual checks, do you have access to those checks forever, or do you lose access if the subscription lapses? So Brianna and Serena, let me take the first take at that. She's from Northwest Missouri. Angie, welcome. So it's a subscription, and the content goes away when the subscription goes away. And, you can print it out and so on. And let me give you my opinion. First of all, Robin gave her honest opinion that it is not an expensive subscription. But, in my mind, we're about supporting the Amoeba Sisters. If you don't support them continually, they're going to stop creating content. We want them to create content forever. I think you should subscribe for 5 years, and you're supporting them. And you can hear how they're so interested in making new content, doing AP content, maybe doing middle school content, maybe doing other subjects. So I think the way these subscriptions work, they support these creators for a long time. So Angie, it does go away, but I think you should keep the subscription going and support these guys.
So
Brianna and Serena, right? Yeah, it's a 1-year subscription, yes. Bernadette Dieter is asking, and Bernadette, where are you from? I am new to teaching biology, so the videos are free. And you can purchase the handouts on TBT, or can you buy it from Pocket Lab? Bernadette's from South Texas.
So we do have a lot of free handouts. I believe we have 44 of them right now. So we do have a lot of them that are free. The only disadvantage is, of course, they don't have the keys with them. So those are something that's like a paid product. And when you factor that in, as well as not having that interactivity, we do think the virtual checks offer something that those handouts cannot quite reach to. We still think that handouts are useful, but we do think the virtual check is kind of another step. I did notice someone had asked if the virtual checks could be used as a replacement instead of the handouts. And yes, I think they definitely replace the need for the handout, unless, and Robin made a great point, that if we don't have that topic yet. If that's something where there's a handout, but there's not yet a virtual check. That's going to become less rare, though, as we keep building. It shouldn't be super common, but there's probably going to be some that you have that until we have it all built out. So yeah, that's kind of the difference of that. And I saw one other question that I just saw it flash out. It was a great question. The question was, you recommend that when we do the handouts, why do you recommend that you do it in class and not something that's homework? The only reason why we recommend sometimes with things like the handout is once it leaves your classroom, you can't ensure that that student is actually working on that particular handout, that it's not something where they're looking up the answers from some other thing, or that they're, that's their own ideas. And so I do think the handouts have the kind of, and same with the virtual checks, that if you're able to see what they're doing that is helpful. And that's one thing that the virtual checks have, where you can actually see them in real time working on the activity. You know that it's them doing it. And if it's something where you're doing it at the end of class, I think that can be very useful. And I think that kind of lets you see that real time feedback. And I feel the same kind of with the handouts, but I do know that they've been used in both formats.
And,
And
oh, go ahead.
oh, I'm so sorry, Dave. I was also going to say I have used the physical handouts as notes. Like they'll watch the video, and then if they have an interactive notebook or a notebook that they're keeping their information in to study for an assessment later, I've done that as well.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
Bernadette, and I see a lot of questions in here. So we have people subscribe with the credit card. We do purchase orders with schools already. Many, many, many schools are in our system. It's requested through the administration. We can do multiple classes. We could do school-wide. We could do district-wide. So, don't be shy to go to your administration. It's not an expensive subscription, and you can have happy to get purchase orders, and we do those right away. So that's available to you. So Bernadette, great. That was a great question. And by the way, I want to mention something too, a little bit about what you girls said. Kids are using AI to answer stuff at home, right? And, it's funny, and teachers are generating worksheets with AI. So you have AI, making worksheets and AI answering them. If you have them do it in class, right, that is a way to avoid it. This is going to be a problem. I see a lot of people here interested in an AI webinar. I would love to do it. We have some amazing AI guests. We have somebody from code.org on the podcast just 2 weeks ago. We had one of the top AI security experts in the world, Professor Yampolsky from Kentucky, talk about AI impact. Just check those out. This is a serious thing that's happening. I think we want to do an AI workshop. I can see all the interest. But, I think one of the answers is you got to do this stuff face-to-face and in the classroom. And that's how you're getting genuine interaction. That's my take from a lot of experts I've been talking to. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, ton of questions. Deanna Barkis. Deanna, you were Wisconsin, right? I remember. Does yearly subscription cover all our classes? Scott probably answered this in there. It is per teacher. So if you have 5 classes, you can use it for 5 classes. So that's the answer for that. Maria Teresa Jackso, where are you from? I love the Amoeba Sisters and videos and worksheets, but does the Pocket Lab bundle include assessment questions that are pre-like questions? That's a great question. So how did you create the worksheets? What was your concept on those, Brianna, and how would you answer that? How would you address that?
Our questions my goal is that when they do these virtual checks, that they are really demonstrating mastery of everything covered in that video, or at least all major components I can possibly have in there. A lot of times I'll look at standards that rely on that type of content. And so I try to make questions that I know would help address those. I'm not making it for a specific type of test, though. So that is something that these aren't meant to be like an assessment, like a test or a quiz. They're definitely not meant for that. They're more of an interactive way that you can show you've mastered the content in the video. So I think the best way to determine whether it's a good fit is if you're able to watch the video and see, okay, is this content, how well does that support the standard I'm trying to teach? And if the video does support the content well that you're trying to have mastered, I think the virtual check will be a very good fit because it really requires mastery of that video content.
Great. Wait, a ton of questions here. Keep them coming. We're going to keep going. Nice question from Heather Lucas from Round Rock. Do you, Rihanna and Serena, ever do PD in person? I don't think you do you?
Oh, actually, we do, but not very often. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone to a few conferences, but it's not very much. We're kind of introverted. We don't get out of our house very much, especially my sister. I would try. It's funny because the amoeba characters, we kind of designed them based on, well, Serena designed them based on our actual personalities, and they kind of fit. So Serena, it's kind of hard sometimes to get Serena out. But she does. She goes, ventures out for a little bit, and we'll go do some.
And then I
Yeah.
come home and recharge for like 10 hours.
Great question from Vicky Aquino. Vicky, where are you from? Can you explain the cartoon biology book? I actually have one here. And you all should get this book. It is amazing. It is really, really good. It is very dense. A lot of great stuff in here. So how do you use this? How do you use this book?
So the virtual checks, or sorry, the book is based on a lot of our biology concepts. It's got all the chapters that it covers. Each chapter, many of them cover more than one video. And we made a book alignment spreadsheet that it actually has the chapter and it has all the videos that apply to that chapter. And then it has resources that we would suggest. And a lot of times they are virtual checks because most of the chapters have virtual checks that go with them really well. And we did that thinking that maybe people would want that as a study tool, or people that are homeschooling, or anyone that's just trying to get some type of demonstration of mastery of each type of chapter in there. It is definitely like a combination of comics and kind of like a textbook come together, and it's in the style of our videos, so this you'll definitely recognize a lot of the script type of thing that's been edited for this book, and you'll recognize some of the pictures, but some of them are brand new for the book. Serena, I think you drew over like 500.
Yeah, I drew over like 500 pictures for that book.
Yeah.
This is my baby.
He's
I
very
always wanted to
touched.
have like a graphic novel, and
It's
so I never thought it
beautiful.
would be educational, but here we are. So
We have a bundle with the subscription on the Pocket Lab website, so you're welcome to get that. We'd love for you to get that. There's a question, and when I saw it, and I totally lost it where Vicky was from. I'm so sorry. Oh, New Jersey. I remember it's New Jersey. So Francine and Kusenkothen. Wow, great name. Love your videos for biology content of Texas 7th and 8th grade. Could you make a playlist bundle based on 6th to 8th grade TEKS or NGSS 6 to 8? That's a good question. Francine, I assume you're in Texas.
Yeah, and something that would be really a neat thing to have. I don't know that we are aligned well enough to those all those teams to be able to make any kind of bundle at this time. We would love to move in that direction to be able to have something like that, but I don't know that we would have that aligned well. I do think that a lot of our content can be used for those grades when it just might go into a little bit deeper level in some cases. What is your opinion on that, Robin? Because I know you teach middle school
And high school.
and
Yeah.
high school. You got them both, yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, at the beginning of the year when we were going through the cell organelles, um, you had some videos that went more into depth. Um, for example, cell respiration, making that ATP energy, um, or a chloroplast. Those were more in depth, but the little tour that you did of the cell and the organelles, um, I had my middle schoolers watch. And so, um, a lot of times, if like I said, today we were actually watching the lungs, the respiratory system, and there were a few things that you touched on and that we discussed, but we didn't. I didn't have them write it down in their notes. I didn't. I don't have it on my, for example, Quizlet deck.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't have those vocabulary words there. So, actually for kids who are enjoying it or wanting to go into medicine, this is really good. This is like, an extension of the learning that I've got right there, but if the middle schoolers don't need that, I can certainly touch on it and move on and not cover, as in depth in the middle school level. So that's how I handle it anyway.
And I'd like to just throw one thought on this. I recently did an alignment to Pennsylvania Steels. I don't know if there's any folks on from Pennsylvania. And I used an LLM to do the high level alignment. Then, of course, I went through it and looked at it. But I think there are some really good opportunities moving forward to use use AI tools to answer questions like this. So I think it's way beyond the scope of this webinar. But Brianna and Serena, we have some internal ideas. We should talk about it, where we might, you can start to answer some of these questions, and that's what these tools are actually pretty good at in our experience. And we're looking at features that will help do this. So something to think about. Hey, for everybody on, and Scott, you can prompt me in the back here on Slack. If you don't mind, I'll keep going. There's probably 10, 15 minutes questions. I'm okay. Brianna, Serena, Robin, are you okay to go a little bit more? There's great questions. I don't want to cut you off with these good questions. Is that okay?
We
I
can
think we have like 10 minutes we
10
have left.
minutes?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we could do 10 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
then I think we'll have to, yeah.
I'll try to get the good ones. Scott, you might want to help me. What are the really meaty? There's literally half an hour of questions here left, and
Oh,
I hate
wow.
to not get those.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm taking a second to read, get the right ones. Teresa is asking Pocket Lab work on an iPad. It does. So Robin, you're using iPads, aren't you? I forget.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have iPads, and again, the kids, can save their password. And hold on, I'm so sorry. Hold on. Okay, that is my fault. Sorry. So they can, go in there, hook up on the internet, and go right into, they have a login for the class, and then they have their own personal login as well. So that's how it goes individually for them. And we really have not had any problems with the iPads working.
Great, thanks. Wendy, wait for Wendy, where are you from, is asking, are there specific sensors you use for these? And I would like to add on to that something from earlier, Brianna and Serena. Are you going to work on some hands-on labs?
Labs would be a really neat feature. I think it's something, and it is something that's really missing from our content. We do not have any labs in any of our content that we've ever created. I think it would be neat to partner with someone who has labs. I think that would be useful. Somebody that maybe makes labs and has them available. That might be something that we look at in the future.
Great. Emma Watson is asking, is there a text-to-speech tool? There is, in fact, there's a speech-to-text and a text-to-speech tool. So that function is there for you. Wendy is, Wendy is asking grade levels. What did you, I don't know if you brought that up at the top, like what did you really target for these grade levels? What do you would say is the sweet spot, I would say?
They really are for high school biology 1, but some of the topics are definitely a little more advanced, like they could be AP Bio, and some of the topics, as Robin was mentioning, could be used for a younger audience. Just it might have a little bit more depth that they don't need quite yet. So the sweet spot, though, that we had originally designed it for was high school bio.
Mm-hmm. We're getting through a bunch from here. This is great. And there's some duplicates. This is great. This is a good one from Heather Lucas. Heather is asking, from what it sounds like, there's only one lesson per topic. Is there a plan to have a high, medium, low lesson check-in? It's a good question. And Heather's from Round Rock.
That is a great question. So far, we're intending just one virtual check per video. But one thing that is nice that our handouts definitely don't have is that you do have the ability to edit them. So if you need to differentiate them for your class, or if there's some questions on there that you're like, this is too much, or I want to expand on this, you'd have the ability to do that, which is definitely an advantage from our handouts, because our handouts don't have that ability at all.
And there's a question here. It's not exactly the same. We touched about this a little bit. It's from Marianne Hartley, is from Ohio. And so, Robin, you use the handouts as notes, but you really use the interactive platform in the classroom. Why does that work better for you?
Again, the immediate feedback and the immediate reinforcement of the concept. Part of learning is trying to make that connection in the brain. And one of the things they do on the video so well is they will give you a little mnemonic device, or Pinky and Petunia will say, "Oh, this reminds me of," And again, the virtual is just a great way to immediately reinforce it. And then when they go off and have baseball games or, they're doing homework for another class, we've had that moment in time when that memory has been made. And that's one of the things I like about that, as far as the virtual check. And sometimes I save them, for the end, after we've taught some things. It depends on the video. And sometimes I use them as an introduction. And so it just depends on where we are in the curriculum and what my students need. And again, it's so easy to take slides out. Deleting a slide is not going to hurt anything in the platform. Or if you had a special needs kid, they might even could, you know, answer some simple questions or drag and drop something, you know, um, to make everything match up.
There's a great question here from Amin Shahadek. And Amin's from Cleveland teaching in the UAE. That's pretty adventurous. Have you ever thought of making lab procedure videos? It would be so cool if you made labs in traditional video styles. Is that what you're thinking of when you're thinking about labs? Like, would there be maybe a lab procedure video?
That would be a neat thing. I think when I think of labs, I actually think of like the activity itself, the lab itself, and then how it goes with the video. But I do think, like for example, Pocket Lab sensors. I mean, those would be amazing to have with that. And Robin, it's exciting that you've have experience with that. I think that would be really neat with our videos. I think with our bandwidth of what we're able to do, we would probably need to partner with someone who already has those labs and find a way to sync them with our videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is good. I think we really need to wrap. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. Questions are still coming, but if you really have questions we didn't get to, email us. It's contact at the Pocket Lab. It's on the landing page. Reach out. Happy to hop on a Zoom with anybody with questions. There's a lot of great stuff. Thank you, everybody. Everybody hung on. We had more than 300 people hanging on
Thank
for
you.
this long thing. And this was, you guys got the best questions ever, I think, in this one. This is really good.
Thank you. Yeah, these
Yeah.
questions were
Great.
awesome. And Robin, thank you so much for your
Yes,
insight and for
Oh,
being
Robin,
here.
thank
We
you.
appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Robin,
Well,
you
big
are
fan.
amazing. Thank you. Brianna and
Thank you.
Serena, you guys are amazing too. This was so much fun. SCIC 15 is coming up. There's a landing page, sign up for it. There's a FET webinar coming up. Contact us, contact at the Pocket Lab. Check out the podcast. There's a great episode with Brianna and Serena. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
y'all.
y'all for being here.
And have a great night.